We have a chef who's worked in some of the top Michelin-starred restaurants in the world, a supper club host, a product development, and fermenting almost anything under the sun. Please welcome Pratap Chahal from That Hungry Chef. Did I say your name right?
Yeah, well, almost. It's Chahal. The surname
Chahal.
is Chahal. Yeah.
Chahal. And your first name is?
Pratap.
Pratap. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how are you?
I'm very well, thanks. I'm very well.
Yeah.
Trying to make the best of a really windy, wet day here in North London, and just about getting ready to at least get our business back into society again once the lockdown is ending. So, exciting times after a very long hiatus.
Yeah. So, how has lockdown been for you then? Have you been
Well,
completely?
lockdown's been interesting actually, Dervish, because we've pretty much not stopped working. We had a few breaks. When the first lockdown happened, we were selling and delivering cooked meals to our customers in London. And then once that first lockdown ended, and we had that little break in the summer, we went back to doing our private events and supper clubs. And then through lockdown 2 and 3, well, 2 mainly, we were then adapted to doing Indian feasts that for 2 or 4 people or 6 people that we were then shipping out across the UK. So that kept us busy pretty much all the way until the end of last month.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So what we do is we do a different region of India every month, or a different So we started off with the cuisine of the Maharajas, and then we did a Goa feast, we did a kebab feast, we did a South Indian Kerala feast.
Oh my God, you're making me hungry. You're making me hungry, honestly. Honestly, I've been saying to my wife over the past 3 or 4 weeks now, I want to cook a biryani.
It's a joy cooking a biryani.
Is it hard? Is it hard to cook a biryani?
It's not hard. I think it's not hard, but also with the biryani, I think firstly you have to nail down what style of biryani you want. I mean, if you imagine with India, there being well over about 100 different styles of biryani.
Okay.
I think the most famous ones tend to be either the Hyderabad biryani or the Lucknow biryani.
Okay.
So these have traditionally been like the most, I guess, partly labor intensive, but also ones that contain the most amount of ingredients. So they're really, really full of flavor and really quite intensely flavored and a joy to eat. But putting it together isn't that hard. I mean, if you can cook rice, then you can cook a biryani.
Really? Okay. Okay. Yeah, you'll have to give me the spelling of both of those types of biryani, because I really want to try one, and I might even go out to the shops today after this and go.
Of course.
Because it'd be, I used to be a chef myself. I used to cook at the Goring Hotel, if you heard of it.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah. So I was a trainee chef there, and I went to Westminster College of Chefing. And,
nice.
I went there for a couple of years and realised that I actually love eating food and not cooking it so much at that time. But as the years have gone on, I've really enjoyed cooking.
Nice.
So
that's the thing. I mean, the funny thing is, I don't blame you for that, because at least you knew that you liked eating more than cooking itself. A lot of people will be like, "Oh, I love cooking, so let me give being a chef a go." Because I think with the media and everything, the world of being a chef is so romanticized, and it's made it all seem so wonderful and lovely, and you just have fun all the time. But it's it is that as well, but it's also a lot of putting in 20-hour days, and sometimes 7 to 10 days a week, and so there's a lot of stress, and there's a lot of sacrifices you end up making with this choice of career.
Yeah, I remember peeling potatoes till the cows came home. I was like, "Oh my God, when are these potatoes going to stop coming in?" I was a trainee, so obviously, these are the things that trainees do.
Potatoes, onions, herbs, picking thyme and all that. All those jobs.
Yeah. So where did you start your career, and how did you get into it?
So I actually got into cooking. It's an interesting story. So I mean, I've always loved cooking. I think my earliest memories were from the age of 7. when I used to help my mum with the Christmas cakes at home. So it was always just a passion, mostly at that age, just doing all the baking and cakes during Christmas. And over the years, passion for cooking it was a passion, and I considered it a hobby. So
Yeah.
I eventually finished school in India and then went to university in Delhi, studied English literature.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, sort of realized that nothing excited me, that I didn't want to join the civil service or do an MBA or go into teaching or, any of these traditional jobs that almost all of my friends around me were doing. So I said that to my parents, and bless my dad, for having this foresight. He just said, well, you like cooking? And I said, I love cooking, but what of it? And he said, well, ever thought about being a chef? And that was my penny drop moment in life, and went, oh, yes. I never looked back. And so then I ended up coming to the UK to do my training. So I did a year of training in Birmingham, at the Birmingham College of Food. And then along with that, then I started working in restaurants. So my first job was at Raymond Blanc's restaurant. So he had one restaurant in Birmingham, and then again at Le Manoir Quatre Saisons in Oxford.
Yeah.
2 Michelin stars. And then from there I went to Gordon Ramsay at the Claridge's.
Yeah.
Which was probably the hardest year of my life. People always ask me, like, what's he like in real life? I'm like, he's exactly the same as you see him on screen, except when he's in your face, all 6 foot plus of him, sort of, abusing you and, calling you all sorts of names and, being aggressive. It's quite terrifying.
Yeah. I think that's why I left, to be honest.
Yeah.
I got to be honest. Yeah. I think I couldn't take that. I was 16, 17, 18. I couldn't take the pressure.
No, it's not. I mean, I think things have changed a little bit with regards to that toxic work environment.
Yeah.
But it's still, as I say, you take any number of men, put them in an unventilated room for, 15, 16 hours a day. Things are not going to be pleasant.
Yeah. And speaking in French, was he, or was he speaking English?
Both. Yeah, a bit of both.
Yeah, because every time they shouted an order to us, we had to say, "Oui, chef." And I would say,
of course, that hasn't changed,
I would say, "Yes, chef," and he'd be like, our head chef would come over and scream at me and say, "Oui, chef," not "Yes, chef." I'm like, and he was quite a mild-mannered man, to be honest.
Right.
He was a nice bloke. He was a really nice guy. But yeah, I just thought, and my dad, I had a penny drop moment as well when my dad said to me, "What do you want to do then? If you don't want to do this, what do you want to do?" And I said to him, "You were an engineer in the Royal Engineers in the army. Right? Why don't I give that a try?" And that's how I started. I started off being a general engineer, and then it became specialising in aerospace engineering. Did my degree in aeronautics. And then that's how I got to where I am today. But now, you know what? It's really funny because recently I looked into a street food market stall serving food. Now, as you know, in London, they're popping up all over the place, aren't they, at the moment? And they have been for the last 5-6 years, I'd say, if not more. And I thought, what can I do? Because I'm Turkish Cypriot, so could we do like a wrap? Like a kebab wrap or something that we could just serve out and really get into the flavors and really tantalize the taste buds of people. You know what I mean? And that's what turned me on. And I thought, so I approached a few markets in London, and the politics and the way the hoops you had to jump through to get the stall. I was like, oh my God, I can't be bothered with it.
It's soul destroying, isn't it? I mean, I looked into that a few years ago, and of course, like you said, the politics, and also they're just so heavily oversubscribed.
Yeah.
So you say, oh yeah, I want to do like Indian style food or whatever. They're like, oh, we've got enough of that already. And I'm like, well, I'm going to do something else. Like, we're oversubscribed.
Yeah.
All of these things, and if you want to sell chutneys, sorry, you can't do that either because we've already got people selling chutneys.
Yeah, but not my style of chutney. This is the thing.
Exactly, but they don't look at it that way. They just think like we just want unique things. And I would try to say to them, well, there's only that much you can do with regards to food and the style of food, or the ethnic food, and or with the world of condiments, like there's only that much you can do. You can't reinvent the wheel. But they said, well, it didn't really bother them because, again, they had people lining up for years to try and get a slot in these markets.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind if they were like trained chefs or food critics.
Yeah,
but I don't know who they are. They're just normal people that work in an office, so they don't know that you're a great chef. They don't know of your heritage and your history. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
And that's what annoyed
me.
Let
me just sit down and give you a plate of food to eat, and then we can take it from
there. Yeah. I must say though, every time I fly to Dubai, I go to a. Do you know Vinit?
Yes.
Dubai.
Yeah.
He is a fantastic Indian cook.
He's brilliant. I've eaten at his restaurant in London many times.
Yeah. So that's closed down now, hasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And this was we had VB Vinit Bhatia. He had Rasoi. I mean, he's had a few restaurants in London over the years.
Yeah.
I think hopefully he's going to come back too, because his food is excellent, and it's because it's progressive Indian cooking.
Yeah.
Modern.
Oh, it's beautiful. That's where I got the first great taste of a biryani. And I can't recreate that. I know that, but
for biryanis, I don't know if have you heard of the Darjeeling Express in London?
Yes.
So Asma Khan, her restaurant, the Darjeeling Express. So they are. I don't know if they're still doing, but I think they might be. Basically, their legendary Hyderabadi biryani that it's cooked and chilled, and then they post it out to you no matter where in the country you are.
Are you joking me? Are you joking me? Oh my God, that's my dinner for tonight. honestly, I've looked into this actually. There's a lot more chefs are doing it now. They cook stuff and post it to you, don't they?
Yeah.
There's a pizza restaurant that one of my neighbours uses here in London, and he said they honestly they've got the best dough in the world, and they post it to you. So I mean we live right next door to Bluewater, so I mean we've got Wagamamas and places like that,
brilliant,
that are fine. But I mean if I could eat in Michelin star restaurants every day, I probably would, to be fair. But yeah, I mean. So I was looking at your Twitter page earlier, and there was this guy that you say he planted a mango tree, and he's got over 300 flavors.
Yes.
How does that work?
Oh, so actually, it's the technique of grafting, where basically you have the rootstocks. You have an existing mango tree.
Yeah.
But then you will graft, for example, you take the branch of a mango tree from another variety of mango. So you have an Alfonso mango tree, and then you take a branch from a Badami mango tree, and you graft that branch onto the Alfonso mango tree. So although it's an Alfonso mango tree, the DNA and the genetics of the branch you're putting on it are of a different variety. So that branch will effectively grow from the Alfonso mango tree, so it'll still be a mango. It's getting, it's got the wider DNA of mango within the tree, but it's a different variety itself. So what this man then did is he pretty much basically took branches from all different variety mango trees and grafted them onto this one tree.
Oh my goodness!
So and it's funny because I sent this to a friend of mine, and he said, "Oh my God, my granddad did something very similar, but with British apples."
Yeah.
So he had an apple tree, and then he just grafted on maybe like 30, 40 different British apple varieties onto that tree. So by the end of it, he had one tree bearing fruit of 40 different apples.
That blows my mind.
I know. I mean, it really blew my mind. I just went, 40, that's fine, but like 300 odd different mango varieties. I mean, this guy's a legend.
Yeah. It's funny because I first heard about grafting trees together and roots and plants together when I was talking to a Turkish guy in North London. He was my mate's dad, and I used to go to his restaurant all the time, and we used to chat. And he said to me, he grafted a pear tree with an apple tree, and he said the tree grew, and then you got one side pears, one side apples, and I was like, hang on a minute, what the hell? I've never heard of this. And I'm always fascinated by this sort of stuff. I'm always fascinated by how you can change the structure of certain flavors and certain foods. And you're a fermenting, would it be fair to say a fermenting expert?
Well, I guess I wouldn't say, yeah. Well, I have been fermenting for a while now, and I think especially over the course of lockdown, just sort of expanded it, and so it's just discovered this incredible world of flavors, just by using normal ingredients, mostly it's just salt, and also this mycelium, or this fungus that is often used in the making of misos and soy sauces and things like that. And it's called koji. And it is basically, koji is a rice or carbohydrate substrate which has been inoculated with these spores of a fungal mycelium called Aspergillus oryzae, or there's lots of different varieties of that, but we'll just stick to Aspergillus oryzae for now.
Yeah.
So you have you inoculate that for about 48 hours, and at the end of it, you have this big, like fluffy, furry mat of rice, and a normal person looking at it and go, "Oh my God, that's gone off."
Yeah.
It's covered in white fungus, but that is the key to it, because what that fungus does is it kickstarts the starches and proteins in the rice with a whole host of amino acids and enzymes, which then bring the flavor. So you have, that bring umami to almost anything that you use it with. Of course, the downside is it takes anywhere from 2 to 12 months or longer to get the product. But it's one of those things that is just so worth waiting for.
Yeah. So is this good for your gut? Is this good for gut health and stuff?
It is. Definitely, it is good for gut health. A lot of these ferments are definitely very, very good for gut health. And you have across the board. So you have things obviously like sauerkraut and kimchi, but you have kombuchas or water kefirs, and then you have misos, and other sources like that. So amino sources, amino pastes. So they are good for your gut health. Of course, you can't consume so much of it because of the heavy salt content.
Yeah.
But more so, it's for the flavor that they bring.
Yeah.
For example, I've just been. I think I'm just about finishing a peanut butter miso. So just taking peanuts, salt, and this koji rice, and then you put it together, leave it to ferment for 2 to 3 months, and at the end of it, you get something that tastes it's like a salty peanut butter miso. There's no better way to describe it. So it's got that saltiness too, but it tastes of peanut butter, but it also has this incredible umami and light acidity and citrusy flavors to it that are just mind blowing.
So are you selling this stuff? How are people tasting?
No, I don't sell it. I'm not selling it at the moment. So it's I use it for our business, but then I also I'm developing stuff and working with restaurants and other sort of food operators to incorporate a lot of these products into their style of food. So basically running a fermentation program with them. Because a lot of people don't have the wherewithal, the facilities, the equipment, and I guess also the time and staff to dedicate to monitoring something for 2 months, on like this. So I basically make all these things for them and sell it to them.
So I was going to say, do you need what types of materials and equipment do you need?
Ideally, so you need something, a fermenting cabinet or some sort of box, effectively, where you can have about 80% humidity and hold temperature at 30 to 32 degrees permanently, at least for 48 hours, 60 hours. So you need to have something where you can have that sort of setup. The best one is, I've just set my new one up for myself, which is I built myself a cabinet out of cedar wood. Cedar, obviously, this is now always been traditionally used in Japanese ferments because natural cedar on its own has a lot of antimicrobial and antifungal properties, so it can stand up to a lot of moist environments.
Okay.
So when you, especially if you're having something that's, it's in the prime sort of temperature range for microbial infections. So 30 degrees, high moisture. So with cedar, you don't have that. It eliminates any bacteria. So whatever it is fermenting is food safe.
Okay.
So you need one of those. Then ideally, you should have another little cabinet or box that you can maintain 60 degrees for any given number of time period. Then a dehydrator, and also then obviously just some space to put all your ferments. And
yeah. So how did you learn all this? Did you just practice?
So the basic fermentation, being Indian, I think it's something that was always part of Indian food and Indian culture. So growing up, it was, the winters were all about, making pickles, and then naturally fermenting, because obviously the winter time in India, the temperature was perfect. And nobody would ferment anything in the summer, because with temperatures of 45 degrees, the ferment would take it would ferment far too quickly and not get that flavor. So growing up, so it was mostly pickles and things like that. And then over the years, just learning and tasting from different people, and just discovering it myself. But especially over the last year, there's a few people that were key in really taking my knowledge and passion for fermenting to the next level. And one is, there's a book that came out called the Noma Book of Fermentation. Noma, the groundbreaking restaurant in Copenhagen. Which is, I think, pretty much the temple of gastronomy as far as any fermentation goes, anywhere in the world. So they did a book called the Noma Book of Fermentation, and then there was another book by two American chefs, Jeremy Umansky and Rich Shee. It was called the Koji Alchemy. So these two books, and along with another American foodie, Kirsten Shockey. So these three were sort of really key. And over the course of the last year, at least with Jeremy, Rich, and Kirsten, I managed to, we talk quite regularly, and they've been having a lot of fermentation sort of programs, Zoom programs, and seminars, and all of these. So my pretty much spare time in lockdown 1 and 2 was spent studying with them, and just interacting with them, and then throwing ideas back and forth. And the amazing thing is that there's a hashtag we all use on Instagram called Koji Builds Community. My wife just laughs at it, going, "How nerdy are you guys?" But at the end of the day, it does really build community, because anyone who's into this style of fermenting, and has been part of these programs over the course of lockdown, where it's a good community, and people are really happy to share their knowledge and experience. Which is really refreshing. So that has really boosted my skills and knowledge by many, many levels.
So what ingredients are hard to get hold of then in the UK?
Not really. The hard ones to get hold of it. There's nobody in the UK that does it. So the main ingredient are these spores of the mycelium, and there's nobody in the UK that sells them. But luckily, there is a very good quality supplier called EU Fermentation Culture. I think they are based in Holland. So I get my main supplies from them.
Okay.
Otherwise, everything else is readily available. You've got salt, you've got any type of rice, pulses, whether it's beans or legumes. All of that is very readily available here.
Wow, that's amazing. So have you thought about doing alcohol? Is there alcohol involved in this as well, or?
That is my next step. At least I would try and start with something simple. Well, I have actually done. Funny enough, I have done bits of alcohol. So last year I made some cider, which should be ready in about a month or so. And so that was just basic. You get so whether it's elderflower cider, or so you basically make like a nice light, like a sugary solution with elderflowers. Then you ferment that with a yeast or natural yeast. So you let it ferment on its own, or you add like a champagne yeast to it, and then you just bottle it, and then you put it away for about a year.
Yeah, yeah,
Hope for the best.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Sorry, go on.
and then, but I do want to try and make something a little bit more technical, like a sake.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I actually said to my wife, like, we should try and make like a fig, like a aperitif, like a, because she's half Sicilian, so she's got connections in Sicily, and
yeah.
the figs in Sicily are like jam, like literally
Wow.
you
Yeah.
open
Of
them,
course.
yeah, they're beautiful. So I was thinking of doing something like that because I like to have a dabble
Yeah. I mean,
as
for
well.
that, the simplest probably thing would be to at least start with something like a limoncello, but instead of lemons, use figs.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly the line I was thinking of doing it.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see what happens. I mean, so what else was I going to ask you? So your cooking, is it more, because I've noticed you've got a variety of things on your Instagram. Variety.
Yes.
It's not just Indian and Pakistani foods. It's
No. So actually, so my because I was French trained and spent most of my life in London, but have an Indian heritage. So I've always said that my style of food is very cross-cultural. Or in one word, it's a cuisine of London. So it's inspired by the communities and cultures that I've been exposed to here in London, and the food that comes with those communities and cultures,
yeah,
but also my French training, my Indian heritage, and
yeah,
on all my traveling that I've done around the world. I found that I tend to, I mean, everywhere I go, it's like, oh, it's just so much flavor here, and I want to try and incorporate these flavors or this style of cooking into my own style, and a lot of my cooking obviously has uh, a lot of Indian spices and Indian flavors in it. I think I think that the foundation of most of my flavor and cooking
yeah,
is Indian, but I build on top of that with ingredients and flavors from across the world. So whether it's Arabic or whether it's from any of the African countries, or so from North Africa or from the Southern African countries,
mm,
but also across Europe, Japan, Southeast Asia,
yeah,
South America. I think it just if it's a good flavor and it's really blown me away, then I'm like, how can I use this?
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
so so you don't look for ingredients. You don't look for recipes. You more look for ingredients
Yes.
and how you can incorporate that
Yeah,
into.
exactly. Ingredients and I think just styles of cooking. So whereas like for example, like the Japanese will like their style of making a dashi or a stock. So that style I use quite a lot, but maybe not necessarily with Japanese ingredients.
Mm,
So I would still call it a dashi because it has it as opposed to like a bone broth.
mm, yeah,
So it varies, or like in India, that the Indian version of that would be a yakhni, where
mhm,
you use a lot of spices and ginger, garlic, chili, coriander root, and things like that.
yeah. So a bone broth, for example, bone broth's supposed to be good for you, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. But I think with bone broth, the key ingredient is to not just use any bones. If you're making like a beef bone broth, people should definitely use beef that is from grass-fed or pasture-fed cattle.
Yeah,
And that's just because that they have it's better for the environment. So it's actually carbon regenerative farming with grain with pasture or grass-fed,
yeah,
as opposed to grain-fed. And also pasture and grass-fed cattle, they release a lot less methane into the environment.
hmm
And then also they help regenerate the countryside, plus a lot of better flavor. So definitely use that. If you're using chickens, and try and go for organic or free range, because again, it's better for you. So there's more nutrients in the actual bones, but also it's better for the environment.
mm,
So whatever ingredients you use, I mean, like the bones are the main part of it. So if you're going to use bad quality or poor quality bones, you're going to get a poor quality product at the end of it.
yeah. Because what I was trying to do was, I suffer with joint issues and things like that, and
Mm.
autoimmune problems, and I was thinking a lot of people are pointing towards bone broth
Yeah.
as a good source of vitamins and minerals for you to.
Yes. Yeah.
And I know quite a few people out there have cured themselves using bone broth. So almost like replacing a cup of tea with a bone broth.
Yeah, oh, it's so good. I mean, and if you're going to do that, then apart from the usual, the vegetables you put in it, like carrot, leek, celery, onions, and thyme, all the herbs, thyme, rosemary, garlic, throw in a whole bunch of Indian spices, so cardamom, cloves, black pepper, cinnamon, because you get the benefits from that as well. And plus you get such a tasty broth at the end of it with a squeeze of lime, and it's like, oh, I could just drink that all day long.
Yeah, and it's not bad for you.
Yeah, and also you can also get. I mean, I think the especially for joint aches and things like that. I think it's good because especially if you're using the really good quality bones, or if you don't have that, you can buy like bone broth that is from like pasture-fed beef or pasture-fed cattle. Is the collagen in there? I think the collagen is what really helps with. I think it's repairing your things like that. I mean, I don't know if that's how accurate that is, but at least from the little bit of research that I've done, collagen is a key player, at least in addressing, aches and pains and things like that.
Yeah.
But you also get this collagen protein powder, which is a fairly recent discovery of mine, and it's instead of something like whey protein, you have collagen protein, which has a lot more of the amino acids and vitamins. So, in fact, you might want to have just a look into it.
Yeah. Where'd you get that from? Online somewhere, is it?
Online, I think, online. I can't remember the name of the supplier, but then there's not many people doing it. So there's only one or two people in the UK doing collagen protein.
Really? You look in good shape. What do you do? What do you train? Do you do anything, or is it just good diet?
So it's, again, lockdown pretty much for the beginning of lockdown, I was like, okay, not got any work to do, and not got events, and all our events got cancelled. So ended up basically forcing myself, and then I loved it. So I do follow an exercise workout program. And so it's this app called Freeletics, and it's basically just all body weight exercises, and it has really kicked my ass.
Yeah.
But and also but for about five months or so, I just went full pelt and said, okay, I'm going to try and see if I can achieve that that ideal body of like at least six-pack abs. It's hard work. I was at one point I was weighing every single thing I was eating. I was on drastically reduced calories, but if I ate one almond, I weighed it out and I logged it in to see just so I can put into the track of my fats and carbohydrates and proteins. So, but I'm not doing that anymore because it was disastrous for my mental health. But the exercise regime I'm still following. So I do about half an hour, 40 minutes a day for about 5 days a week.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That's good. That's good going. Me and my wife were training 5-6 days a week. Last lockdown, so the first lockdown we were training a lot. We were doing online stuff, YouTube, high intensity interval training.
Brilliant.
We were weighing stuff and everything. We both lost quite a lot of weight, but then we gave up.
And then I know, because after a while it does get a bit exhausting. You're like, I just miss a glass of wine. I miss having dessert. I miss cake. I miss brownie and donuts. And Is Indian desserts quite high in fat? Is it? Yeah, it's the sugar really. It's the sugar that will do you in. And it's the same with alcohol. Because all of that converts into sugar. So that's what. But unless you're managing to burn it off. It's the sugar that will keep you from having those abs that show. I don't think I saw my abs since from my 20s, and now I'm in my 40s. So it's been over 20 years. I don't think we're ever going to see them again. I can feel them. Sometimes I can feel them. That's brilliant. I mean, also at the end of the day, Dervish, you have to realize, I just told myself, look, I'm not a fitness model or an athlete or any of this, and I don't want to wake up every day, feeling sad about all the things I can't eat or drink.
Yeah.
As long as I'm in good shape, having a little bit of body fat is fine.
Yeah.
I'm not obese. I'm not, I'm not, I don't, I don't drink and beer all day long, and so I'm not unfit or unhealthy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. I mean, what do you eat on a normal daily basis? Do you eat some of your fermented stuff, and do you eat
Yeah, so
some?
try and incorporate as many that into cooking as possible.
Yeah,
So breakfast generally tends to be quite a hearty, like bowl of porridge with protein powder and berries and peanut butter and almond milk.
mm,
Lunch will usually be quite a simple affair of sweet potato and either a piece of roast chicken or some fish, usually mackerel or salmon,
yeah,
with some vegetables. And I usually toss the vegetables, in some form of ferment or the other. So I'll take a spoonful of miso and add a little bit of lime juice to that, and then I
yeah,
use that to season my vegetables.
yeah,
And then at night we have, we go a little bit, be a little bit more adventurous, and I put on my chef hat and cook for my wife in that way. Otherwise,
yeah.
because she gets really bored of my healthy food. And so would I. So, yeah, evenings tend to be mostly, chef driven food, where
Yeah,
I do incorporate as much of my the ferments as possible into whether it's a marinade or into a sauce or or some form or the other.
yeah. We stopped eating salmon from when we watched Seaspiracy on
All
Netflix.
right. Yeah, I haven't seen that yet, and I believe it's it's definitely worth watching, and but I think having to take it with a pinch of salt at least.
Yeah. That's what I said to my wife. I said up until about 45 minutes in,
Yeah,
I said to my wife, I said, look, I said they better not start on the lamb. If they start showing me how lambs are killed, we're going to have a problem here. We're going to have a big problem. And she said, be quiet. I'm trying to watch this. Anyway, 45 minutes in, I said, I'm stopping eating fish. I'm not eating prawns anymore. All these people are dying and blah, blah. And then afterwards, I sat down and I thought about it and I thought, hang on a minute. How true is everything he's showing and how accurate is it?
yeah.
Because you can't really, you can't say the whole industry's like that.
No,
I mean,
exactly.
across the whole world.
Yeah.
He was talking about salmon, where salmon's been injected with colour to make it red.
Right.
And
No,
some,
again, like they will probably they probably will pick out the worst aspect of the industry and
yeah,
amplify it, so
yeah,
that you
yeah,
think that, oh my God, the entire industry is this way. No, but the truth is that there is some very good quality farm salmon that hasn't been injected, and they're not so crowded that so there is a lot of good quality farmed fish that is available. Of course, wild fish, as long as it's sustainable and not endangered, is perfectly fine to eat.
yeah.
And of course, and with the prawns as well, I mean, things like the prawns, if you can avoid just sort of the intensely farmed, intensely reared prawns, I mean, all the better for it. But I think generally avoiding anything that's intensely farmed or reared is a good way to go about life.
Mm. Who do you think in the world's got the best cuisine for healthy eating then? Who do you think it is?
I would say definitely like places like India, Southeast Asia, but also the Arab countries. So across the Arab countries and the Middle East, as far as healthy cuisine goes, they always just there's so much flavor and variety, and especially that a lot of these countries are a lot vegetarian cuisine in these vegetarian vegan options in these
Yeah,
countries are on par with the non-vegetarian ones. So you
yeah.
could go to India or any of these countries and live on a completely vegan or vegetarian diet and not miss meat.
Mm, It's funny because we used to work with an Indian firm, and we had some of our colleagues come over from India to our offices, and they invited me around for dinner one night. So they're in rented accommodation. So I said, not to be rude, let's go. So I went there anyway, and I said to them, "What meat we're eating? I'm a big meat eater. What
Yeah.
meat?" And they said, "No, we're vegetarians." I said, "You what?" I said, "I better order a takeaway." He said, No. He said, "Just sit down, relax, take this drink." Gave me a drink, and I was drinking. He made 5 curries
Mhm.
from 3 ingredients. they all tasted different.
Amazing.
How? And it was the most stunning curry I've ever had in my life.
There you go. See, that's exactly it. I think it's just a variety, and it's the magic of spices.
Yeah. So spices are good for you, or they're not high in fat? They're not.
No, definitely. I mean, in fact, spices have always been used as medicinal as well in India. Especially in Ayurveda and things like that. For example, like if you, for digestion, fennel seeds are really good for digestion. Cloves are good for toothache, but also as a breath freshener. If you're having, sort of stomach ache, cumin is really good for that.
Yeah.
Because black pepper is good for a sore throat. Cinnamon, we all know, cinnamon is good for, it's just good for lots of things. I think can't remember the ailments that cinnamon is good for, but a lot of these things are good for them. Of course, given our modern lifestyle and all that, and how much we're putting into our bodies, these things on their own are not going to cure diseases or solve your health issues, but they will definitely nudge you along. Things like, obviously, for you've eaten too much and and you're just feeling a little bit, stomach's just feeling like you're going to burst. I mean, chewing on fennel seeds or having fennel tea, you will feel, it does almost immediately. You feel the benefits of it. With toothache, you put clove oil. The results are pretty much immediate. So it varies, but spices definitely have a lot of medicinal properties to them.
Okay. Well, I'm going to finish this podcast with 2 questions.
Yes.
I'm going to ask you this question. So if you were on a desert island, which chef would you like to be stuck with?
Ooh, good question. I would probably like to be stuck. Goodness me.
And it could be a famous chef, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah. No, I'm just trying to think. We had a family friend growing up, and I used to always call her my aunt.
Mm-hmm.
But I would probably say with her, because the best childhood memories of food that I have were of her cooking.
Oh, really?
So definitely, yeah. So and she was a vegetarian, so it was all meat free. So, but the curries, the savories, the sweets. I think my happiest childhood food memories are pretty much all from her kitchen.
Really? Okay. That's fantastic. And what advice can you give up and coming chefs and people that want to get into the career of chefing?
Think twice about it, because it's not all fun and games. It's not rock and roll. It's a lot of hard work, but at the end of it, it's just keep at it. There are going to be a lot of days where you will question your choices, you will question everything in your life, and you will have a lot of breakdowns. But at the end of it, it's a good community. But also, do not take any bullshit. If someone's being abusive to you, don't think to yourself that, this is good for my career. Mm-hmm. Because when you look back at it, you will think, I'm glad I did it, but I wish I had said something. And also especially with being a chef, there's this hidden terror of mental health issues, which nobody really talks about. So that's one thing I would say to anyone looking to get into the career. Like, if ever you're having any problems, or reach out and talk to somebody. But at the end of it, don't give up, and it's a great career choice.
Okay, all right. But tell people where they can find you on social media.
Well, I'm called That Hungry Chef, so THAT Hungry Chef, and I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. That's where you can find me. And our website is thathungrychef.com.
Okay, all right. Well, Pratap, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, my friend.
And you, Dervish.
I think hopefully sooner or later this lockdown's over and we can all meet up and discuss food and play around with some ideas. Maybe you can even help me produce this fig limoncello thing that I was thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll tell you what. If ever you're in London, you and your wife are in London, we'll have you over dinner. I'll make you a biryani.
Yeah, please, yeah. In fact, I might order one tonight from your friends over
Yeah,
in
yeah. They're called
London.
Darjeeling Express.
Yeah. Okay, all right. But listen, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you,
Indeed,
honestly, and thank you for all
mine.
your knowledge. And we'll catch up soon. Okay.
Indeed. Thanks so much for
Okay.
chatting.
All right. Thank you.